Hey, we're having a party in July to celebrate 100 episodes of Pixel Sift, and you're invited. Come on down to the Sony Room in Perth on Friday the 13th of July for Pixel Parties, a celebration of indie games and indie bands. What games, I hear you ask? Well, we'll be playing Birds Ball, Party Golf, Brief Battles, and Screen Cheat, just to name some of them. Tickets are now on sale, and you can get all the info at pixelsift.party. That's pixelsift.party. Come challenge us to a game and listen to some cool music while you're at it.
Hello and welcome to Pixel Sift, the show that explores indie game development, the indie game development scene around Australia and the world, as well as the big issues making the news for players and developers. Joining me today is my co-host, Scott. How are you, Scott?
Hey, I'm well.
And in the studio with us today, we've actually got a real-life guest right here in the same room. It's Abi Rahmani.
Hello.
Hello, Abi. And yes, Abi is here to talk to us about his game Project Wingman, and that is currently in the middle of a very successful Kickstarter. But before we get to that, what are we talking about, Scott?
We'll be looking at Sony's recent decision to deny Epic's account the ability to use on other platforms like the Nintendo Switch if they have already been linked to the PSN service, and players are not happy.
Yeah, so all that coming up right now.
Hey there, if you're enjoying the show and you want to hear more, subscribe to Pixel Sift on Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, or listen on pixelsift.com.au. See you there.
Yeah, so after Fortnite's release on the Nintendo Switch last week, many players eagerly logged on to start playing on the new platform. All except the users that had associated their Epic Games accounts with their PlayStation account. People are understandably upset by this. Thoughts?
Yeah, so basically they were just met with a message that said something along the lines.
Login error.
It was just a login error. Yeah, it wasn't even like it said, basically it was, no, you can't use it because you've already linked your account with PSN and we can't help you, so make a new account. It's essentially the error message that people were met with.
Yeah, I mean, Epic wanted to make it pretty clear that it wasn't them doing this.
Yeah, and they were just like, yep, not our fault. Contact Sony, they'll deal with it. So Abi, what were your thoughts on this as a developer? Do you feel like this is something that is justified or?
I feel like it makes sense as a business move, but at the same time, it's kind of like limiting what they can do with the platform and restricting others to just play on the PS4 platform.
Yeah.
Because when Microsoft had the lead in market share with the Xbox 360, they also didn't want any cross-platform play. And now that the PS4 has the lead in market share, they don't want it anymore.
Yeah,
so forcing everyone to go into their ecosystem and,
It's a bit predictable.
Yeah.
And a bit of a shame as well. On Twitter, Greg Miller said something. He said, "Not allowing me to sign into Fortnite Switch with my Epic account because it's linked to PS4 is tone deaf and points more to the fear than market dominance. It does the opposite of what you want. It makes me think about moving to Xbox for Fortnite."
And this is a big deal because Greg Miller is one of the most public Sony fanboys ever, and I watch a lot of his videos and I agree with him on a lot of points, and I look at a lot of his. He does tutorials, actually like tutorials on how to replace hard drives in PS4s and things like that. Yeah. So that's a big deal. Coming from him means a lot.
I mean, I was saying to you just the other day, I've been a big Sony boy since the PlayStation came out. I've switched from Nintendo. I was in dead set Nintendo before that. And I feel embarrassed by this as a Sony fan. Like I was saying to you the other day, Mitch, like my loyalty to the brand stayed true through the Xbox dominance. Right. Even the original Xbox, when they came out, it kind of shook things up. Yeah. And I was a proud PlayStation dude. But supposedly now they're on top. They don't want to play ball. I don't feel proud. I feel the opposite. Yeah. I'm kind of annoyed by them, by it.
Yeah. And the interesting part is the only people this hurts are the PlayStation users.
Funnily enough.
If someone like me and if someone like Greg Miller are this upset by it, and you're going to lose people like us then man, you're going to lose a lot more that you're not even hearing about.
Yeah, I think the worst part about this is that they're not even giving anyone an option to unlink their PS4 accounts, just locking out like straight away.
That's another aspect we haven't touched on yet.
No warning.
Yeah,
Warning.
they've locked them out. Like you
Yeah.
can't disassociate the accounts with PSN. That's it for now. And like there was no warning.
No, and that's what Ben Shura from Polygon said. He's like, why wasn't there a warning? Surely Epic knew about this happening. Like, surely they knew this was going to happen.
I'd be curious now that it's out in the open to see whether if you try and link a PSN account with an Epic account, it will warn you or not.
Yeah.
My guess is probably not.
Hindsight's a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just something that we might see a lot more of because now the Rocket League team, Sonics, they are already like, we're ready to push the button on this crossplay thing, just waiting on Sony's lead. And I think it's just only a matter of time. Either they'll just be the bad guy for the foreseeable future or the indefinite future, or they'll cave.
Well, they don't look like they're going to change at all. The comments that they gave, the response, was... Sony says, we're always open to hearing what the PlayStation community is interested in to enhance their gaming experience. With more than 80 million monthly active users on the PlayStation Network, we've built a huge community of gamers who can play together on Fortnite and all online titles. We also offer Fortnite crossplay support with PC, Mac, iOS, and Android devices, expanding the opportunity for Fortnite fans on PS4 to play with even more games on other platforms. We have nothing further to add beyond this at this point. Like, that's a nothing answer. Like, you're telling us all things we already know.
Yeah.
Like, we're listening, don't worry, we're not going to do anything about it. But
Best thing was that the Nintendo's response was, in fairness, there are three different things going on. This is Reggie Fils-Aime, which is the President-in-Chief Operating Officer at Nintendo America. He told Polygon, you have companies like mine that encourage crossplay and enable crossplay. You have a developer and content owner that wants crossplay and is encouraging it. Then you have the other platform holders and what it is that they do. And when it comes to other platform holders, as much as they have influence on other platform holders, I don't. And that's a decision that each of them are making, and some are supporting crossplay and some are not. He's very, like, without saying it, just saying that Sony are not going to do it.
Yeah, I think the Nintendo, the English Nintendo account, Twitter account, and tweeted at the Xbox account was like, hey, you want to play some Fortnite later? And then the Xbox account went, yeah, okay. It's just like, oh, great. Remember
memes.
It was
So
only
good.
a couple of E3s ago where Sony was making fun of Xbox for that DLC, for that DRM thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
and how times have changed.
I know, it's like, you better
You
just...
bunch of hypocrites.
I know, you just watch yourselves. Because I don't think because I think brand loyalty is starting to mean less and less to people now.
It doesn't mean anything to...
Yeah.
What, I mean, what is brand loyalty if a brand that you've been loyal to for 10 years or whatever just pulls one like this, pulls a fast one? It's like, I don't know, I feel hurt by this.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not surprising. Previously, Sony's blocked crossplay with Xbox One for Fortnite and Rocket League and Minecraft and what else? I don't know.
Sly, there's a Twitch viewer called Sly Cooper Fan 1 is wondering whether Psyonix and Epic need to pay Sony for the ability to have crossplay. And I don't think that's something we will ever know. I think that will...
Well, I don't think Psyonix or Epic want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they should.
But yeah, the Sly's right. Who was it? Sorry.
Sly Cooper Fan 1.
Yeah, Sly Cooper Fan
In
1.
the
You
chat.
are right. I think that would probably fix the problem. Like we were saying before, money talks.
Yeah, and but of course there are NDAs and things like that. Pivot is saying
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's...
I feel like they're missing out a huge opportunity for like those events they keep doing on Fortnite. Maybe like a Xbox versus a
Fortnite
PS4.
is the biggest
that
thing
would
at the
be
moment.
that would be fantastic. Yeah.
Like, you know, just start a little bit of friendly console wars.
Yeah, you could do actual console wars like that. That would be such a good time. I think. Like, all right, let's Fortnite 50v50.
Yeah.
Xbox players versus PS4 players. Do it.
See, that's when you'd have your like brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Because you're not just representing a brand. It's like you're part of a team. And people like that, the inclusiveness.
By the way, Sony, Microsoft, if you do that, you owe this podcast money.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, it's ours.
Ideas aren't free.
Yeah, you gotta pay us.
Do I get any of it?
Oh, yeah, for
Absolutely, yeah.
sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say on the matter. Reddit was having a bit of a laugh about it, to be honest, which is always nice. There was a couple of comments, one by Hammer Handy that said that Nintendo, that PlayStation's trying to save their users from those awful Nintendo users. And they were like, yeah, be careful around those Animal Crossing players.
Yeah, they'll come at you with their axes and their shovels.
It's just soft. There's no good, really, and that's the problem with it. There is no really good excuse for this other than that PlayStation don't want to do it because they're going to lose market and money. And that's a shame.
Yeah. All right. I think we've complained about this quite enough. I think I'd rather talk to Abi about Project Wingman, which is coming up next.
Hey, Mitch, what are you doing this Friday?
I'm playing Fortnite this Friday.
But didn't you hate that game?
Yeah, but I'm going to go get my pickaxe anyway.
What time is it on?
It's on at 7:30 p.m. on every Friday night. We play Fortnite, and I hate it.
You'll love it. On twitch.tv/PixelSift.
You'll love it.
How does that one of our longest promos ever? I have to listen to it every week. I have to push the button on it that day, and it's really embarrassing. Anyway, today, enough about Fortnite. Fortnite sucks. Today,
anyways,
today we have Abi Rahmani in the studio with us, and he is here to talk about his latest arcade flight combat game, Project Wingman. Thank you very much for joining us, Abi.
Oh, thank you for having me in the studio.
Yeah,
thank you for the invite.
No worries. So for the uninitiated, what is Project Wingman?
So Project Wingman is a combat flight game. And it's not like a simulator, so it's very easy to pick up and play. Anyone can play it, as long as you know something about flight at least. And yeah. And there you go. You can see the footage over there.
And that's the magic. They're not supposed to know that we can see that. I mean, it's for anybody. I mean, for anyone that's watching, you can see it now. It's in a fantastic looking game. But I mean, where did the inspiration to make a game like this come from? It seems like such a big feat.
Well, I think one of the main inspirations is pretty obvious, which is the entire Ace Combat series. But at the time when I started the project, there wasn't really anything like it in development or just in the market in general, because Hawks already stopped, and well, at the time Ace Combat was nowhere to be found except for the PS3, the free-to-play version.
Yeah.
So I just kind of decided maybe I should make some kind of it started off as a portfolio piece. So I worked on it part-time and just kind of devolved into this.
I mean, that is a really good point and reason for doing it. But there is a new Ace Combat 7 coming out now. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm all right. I mean,
I think you should be, because your game looks just as good, if not better, to be honest.
I mean, as an indie developer, I just take comfort in knowing that I probably need a lot less than them to actually make something out of it. Yeah. So...
Yeah, that's a really good point, to understand that there is a difference between what they do and what you're doing. Yeah, even if the package and the end result is similar, you are doing different things. And generally for different people, people that follow indie games are a bit passionate in different areas than I think AAA lovers.
Yeah.
So so how many people actually work on Project Wingman?
Is that full time or?
Oh no, just in general. Because I mean, there's this idea. I mean, it's not an idea. It's a bit of an image of your game as a developer, that you are the solo person, and online it says a lot that it's just you. Yeah. But that's not exactly the case.
No, definitely not. We actually have quite a bit of volunteers, just kind of putting themselves forward during the game's development, in the early development phase, and they've been helping me a lot with stuff like voice acting and maybe some script writing, stuff like that. And one of them is Matthew Nguyen, which I believe is on the Kickstarter page, and he's sort of almost like my partner in this project now.
Oh, that Fly Away Now?
Yes. That's him.
Yes. I wanted to ask you about that, because he's overseas, isn't he?
He's in the US. Yeah.
Wow. How is that collaborating with someone over the waters?
It's interesting, but I mean, we're always in touch and chatting to each other and just throwing ideas, even really stupid ones. Probably.
So how long have you been working on Project Wingman?
I have been working on Project Wingman for about 2.5 years.
Yeah. And in what kind of capacity?
Right. So it initially started off as a part-time venture while I was working other jobs and I was in uni at the time.
Yep.
And as soon as I got the grant, I just decided that maybe I should turn it into a full-time venture.
And this is the Epic Games.
The Unreal
grant.
Epic.
Yeah, Unreal. Too much Epic talk. It is an Epic grant, but it's from Unreal.
Yeah.
I got some questions actually from the chat. Sly Cooper Fan 1 says, what was the inspiration for Conquest mode, if there was any inspiration for Conquest mode?
Okay, so Conquest mode...
For the people that haven't played at home.
We were actually about to release a demo for it very soon, so it's not available quite yet. But the inspiration is mainly from the Battlefront Galactic Conquest from the old. I forgot who the developer is. It DICE? No.
Don't know. You're testing me.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But the old Battlefront.
Yeah.
And a bit of Risk of Rain, if you guys played that.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
No.
So basically, like difficulty. The difficulty goes up the longer you take to play through the game mode.
Right.
So the game gets harder the crappier you are, but there is some persistence to it. So you're not actually just losing every time. You do gain a bit of something out of it. And the aim of it is just to grant as much as replayability to the game mode. I mean, to the game, since it's wholly a single player experience. So
Speaking of replayability, there's Deviant XS asked in the chat, will there be any post updates after the game launches? Also, any other platforms in the future?
As regarding to post content updates, certainly it's definitely something we're looking into, but I think it's a bit too early for us to say because we're still focused on the core content of the game right now and getting the campaign out of the way and Conquest finishing up.
Speaking of your campaign, you are in the middle of a Kickstarter, a very successful Kickstarter campaign. There's, 12 days to go? And
Yes.
I think you've already, as of last check, anyway, it was $94,391 pledged of a $35,000 goal. That's spread across 1,907 backers. That is amazing. You've got to be really happy with that.
Yeah,
how did that come to? Did it meet your expectations? Did it blow them out of the water?
Honestly, it blew me out of the water because I was at least expecting for it to only reach the goal. Well, that's a very optimistic guess to reach the goal by like a week in, but it reached it in about 16 hours, which is pretty crazy.
Crazy.
So, yeah, I'd like to continue. To thank the community for that, actually, and they've been really supportive throughout this whole venture. And
well, people like what they see. I mean, in that, how do you obviously had something in mind for that $35,000 as planned for development. I mean, now that you've almost tripled it, have your plans to go forward changed at all? Or are you going to go about the future development any differently?
Actually, not really. As of 1.0, the 1.0 release is probably going to stay exactly the same, so we can stay on schedule. But post-content updates is definitely like going to be the meat where that cash goes.
Yeah, cool. So really. You can keep working on it after
you've
actually done the work.
It really depends on how much we can sustain that fund. So really.
Well, how long have you actually been developing before you started on Project Wingman 2 and a bit years ago?
Can I say 0?
Yeah, no. Okay. So is this your first
commercial? Yes.
Really?
Well,
what have you developed leading up to this?
I've developed a couple of not space jams. Couple of jam games before.
Like
collaboration.
Global Game Jams.
Thing? Well,
but
sort
not
of.
the global ones.
Yeah,
game jams.
just a little games
cool.
like experimentation here and there.
Yeah.
And this was actually like my base to start working on, like see how far I can take an actual game, and it just kept going.
As someone who doesn't develop at all, but I do see and play a lot of games, this is an exceptional looking game. Like I said, it reminds me of Ace Combat of years ago, but much better. Like how does one person get to make a game look so amazing? It baffles me a bit.
Right. You'd be surprised how powerful the tools are these days to develop a game, and not to mention the third-party add-ons you can get. Like, for example, for Project Wingman, I'm using True Sky, which already like solves the the main issue when rendering a flight game, which is the clouds.
Okay.
And their clouds look phenomenal.
Yeah, they do.
And other than that, like the Unreal Engine
Yes, sorry, I
rendering,
got you going now.
the Unreal Engine rendering techniques has been quite
Phenomenal.
easy to it's very easy to use too.
I read something about you studying it might have been what you were talking about before, the Battlefront, but I thought you said Battlefield Worlds, the like generated worlds you were studying, possibly. No, it doesn't ring a bell.
No, yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, well, never mind then. I must have misread.
I got a question from, I think it was, sorry, the chat's going past so fast. A lot of people want to know things.
Well, yeah, you've got 12,000 fans out there. 2,000 fans out there that are probably tuned in, eagerly waiting to hear what's happening.
I think it was Moody Xander asked, how difficult would it be for a newcomer to the genre to get started in Project Wingman?
It should be very easy. We also offer like a simplified flight scheme for people who aren't like very tuned into the flight game, and the game is, I'd say, playable on a keyboard and mouse if you don't even have a joystick or a gamepad, but the game plays best on a gamepad right now.
So there's full integration for your flight joysticks and stuff. As far as that entry level thing, and you saying the game gets harder the worse you are?
Well, that's only it. I wouldn't say it gets harder the worse you are, because you still have a positive feedback where you get money out of losing. Yeah. So you can buy more things as you upgrade your things. So you technically get better gear.
But the game gets harder.
The game gets harder.
Progressively harder.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of touting for what the new the new Mario game has, which is like a kind of adaptive difficulty.
Right.
Have you ever considered that sort of thing? Considering that you've already gone for the easy pick-up controls, let's say, rather than Flight Simulator, would you look to take things even further and open up, the window of entry for people?
I've actually looked into adaptive difficulty, but I may have been looking at it the wrong way because I was thinking how to make it harder rather than how to make it easier.
Well, yeah, I've yet to play your game, but it doesn't look easy.
It can get disorienting at first, but...
You said there was no demo available. I thought I'd read that there was one on itch.io.
Yeah, there is no demo on Conquest mode.
Oh, okay, yep.
But there is a demo for like 3 scenarios that gives you an insight of what the campaign could look like.
That was how you kind of launched a Kickstarter, wasn't it? Yeah, with that.
So how did you bring these different planes to life? What was your reference point? Because I assume you're not a pilot yourself, are you?
No, I'm not.
I'm always curious to see if when people recreate very lovingly things that exist in the real world that
how
aren't
far
really
you get into that world.
That aren't necessarily that accessible to you. How do you make these planes feel authentic?
Well, there are some references, I'd say, from like cockpit footages and maybe being in a plane myself during, a commute to overseas and just seeing how a plane behaves and how it behaves like in different weather conditions. And that so far has served it quite well in terms of its flight feel. So, yeah.
How many planes are available at launch you're going to have?
I plan to have around 20 aircraft during launch.
Wow.
That's a lot. And how many have you got at this stage? Or how many did the demo have, sorry?
The demo has 3, but we already have around 7 or 8 models ready to go.
And what's the selection process like? How do you decide which aircraft to include?
Honestly, it's just it's almost random at times. It's just we just see like what would balance out the roster and like what would be good for air to ground, air to air, and multi roles and stuff like that. And
so at this stage, single player. Is there any plans at all to expand upon that?
Do you mean to multiplayer?
Or multiplayer, or even so local or over the internet multiplayers, basically.
At the moment, we haven't really. Well, I haven't really researched much into multiplayer, so I don't want to make any commitments to multiplayer as of yet.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a really big thing,
especially
to
at such
tackle.
an early stage.
Yeah, so it's something we'll look into, but I'm not gonna promise it for Project Wingman. That is,
for sure.
So
I got something again from Moody Xander. I think they tried to ask a question earlier, but they got buried in the chat. But are you planning on a more a fantasy-based plane design, like your own designs, or something like maybe a more sci-fi version of a plane?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been considered before, and considering the alternate history setting of the game, that's still open.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And it's something that the original Ace Combats didn't kind of have, but then moving towards, they offered a little bit more of that sci-fi twist, and I think people really, really like that.
Yeah.
Futuristic, etc.
Yeah.
Can't get enough.
That was like one of the cool parts about Ace Combat, and I think I've seen some of your trailers for your game have these, like, I think the enemies that you take down are like these really large planes.
Oh, those big
the
bombers.
airships.
Yeah.
That was wild.
And I'm like pretty sure, I really hope they don't exist.
They don't exist.
Is that one of your own creations?
Yeah, it is. We plan, basically, the thing with the airships in the game is just we're bringing naval combat into the air. That's the
That's good.
initial gist of it.
Air
So-
battleships.
Yeah, basically. So you might see some bigger ones later on.
Yeah, wicked. I mean, do you take a lot of artistic, license when you're kind of creating those type of, game obstacles rather than ships sort of thing? Like I guess you'd start with the idea rather, and then.
Yeah, basically we just look at what actually flies, and
Yeah.
and from that we just make a design out of it and kind of experiment. It's a lot of like experimenting and what looks right and what looks wrong.
So as far as that, the development side of things, what is it that you are actually doing yourself? Are you being involved in any of that artistic sides, or is that like we were saying before, is not to use the word asset flip, but are you using assets, or are you creating with an artist?
No.
One of the couple of people that are helping you out.
No. Well, there are some like artists that help me out here and there.
Yeah.
But most of the art of the game is me,
Wow.
me and the programming as well. So.
I have another question from Delicious Orange Art. What sort of
Great name.
It's great. What sort of rules have you imposed upon yourself, and how far are you willing to bend reality for the sake of gameplay?
Well, gameplay is one of the main focuses of the game, but I think we'd be willing to bend a couple of reality, like laws of physics, just so the game is more exciting. But we won't really do anything that's super unrealistic or extraordinary, like a floating city or something. Is that a good idea? Just let me know if you want.
Do you
Guys
want a
that.
floating city?
Is this what you want? Tell me what you want.
And I got something else from Deviant XS again. Is Project Wingman the final name, or will the name be changed when the game releases?
Well, initially it was meant to be a placeholder name, but I think at this point it's just sticking.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
I definitely think about a lot worse ones.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, Ace Combat, like it's probably not as good. I mean, it sticks with me because it means something to me.
Yeah,
but
Ace Combat doesn't mean
It's not
much.
really that good a game, not that good a name. Project Wingman really sells it more. Tells you what you're going to get into.
Right. Well,
I don't think you should rush into changing it. I like it. Maybe you should ask the
yeah.
Kickstarters though, because
Yeah, I mean,
don't be wrestling people.
I think at this
people's
point
feelings.
it's just easier to stick with it.
Yeah, you're too far deep now.
I think we could talk about this all night, I think. But
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time.
Oh.
Thank you very much, Abi, for joining us.
No problem. Thank
if
you.
people want to learn more about Project Wingman, where can they find your work?
They can find it over primarily through my Twitter account right now, because that's really where the game is
Yeah.
mostly, and on itch.io. I believe it's rb-d2.itch.io/wingman.
And that's where you can get the demo from?
Yep, that's where you also can download the demo.
And do you have a planned release date at all yet?
No, but we do have an estimate of May 2019, but we'll see if we can reach that date depending on the scope. Because
We eagerly await it.
yeah.
So I noticed that the chat is very active. Thank you very much for joining us, all the new viewers. Please give us a follow if you would like to see more content like this. And thank you for joining me, Scott.
No, not a problem, Mitch.
And this episode was produced by Fiona Bartholomaeus, and our executive producer is Gianni Di Giovanni. And yeah, thank you to everyone who stopped by in the chat. As always, we'll be sticking links to the topics we talked about in this show and the notes on our website at www.pixelsiv.com.au. And, yep, so...
Play the outro music, Mitch.
Yeah, no worries.
Of course, if you live in Western Australia, we'd love to see you at Pixel Party's 100th episode celebration. It's on Friday, the 13th of July at the Sewing Room, and tickets are on sale now. We'll be there, and we'd love to meet you and come challenge us to a game. All the information, links to the grab tickets are at pixelsift.party. Sorry. Early bird tickets will get you a bundle of goodies, which is a shirt and a couple of shirts from the bands and the copies of the games on the night and some stickers and this and that. And it's no extra cost. You just got to get a pre-sale.
Nice. And you can find us you can find PixelSiv on our social media to get alerts when we go live. We love your questions, and if you got the chance, and we love to talk to developers, and you can find us at facebook.com/pixelsiv, twitter.com/pixelsiv, twitch.tv/pixelsiv, and youtube.com/pixelsivau. And if people want to listen to our older episodes, where can they be found?
You can go to our website to stream episodes, subscribe as a podcast, either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to find podcasts. We're live every Thursday. Next week at this time, join us for Pixel Sift Plays. Don't know what we're going to play yet. Keep it locked.
Yeah, and our 100th episode will be on the 5th of July.
Boom.
Yeah. And while you're on iTunes, if you give us a review and a star rating, that'll be great and help the show. And thank you very much for watching, and we will see you all later.
Peace out.
Thank you, Abi, for joining us.
No worries. Thank you guys for having me here.